I'm giving a presentation today on Joe Biden and what his election means. I'm sorry it's delayed, and so now it will seem like really common sense, but this was actually written before Biden's inauguration, where people still had hope. So, with that being said, I also would really like to thank Christopher Hill for editing this presentation um, where they can, and all the mistakes in it are mine and not his. Um, so, first off, people say the election of Joe Biden and the defeat of Trump means beating back fascism. It is a victory for the people. You've seen this from groups from the right wing or rightist groups like the FRSO to the ultra left groups like the Revolutionary Communist Party. And they've said, we have to beat back Trump, And then, and because he represents fascism, you may not like Biden, but what we've got to do is beat back Trump. That's wholly incorrect. I think it's incorrect on a lot of levels. The origin of that is in Germany in the 30s. There was what was known as Stalin's third period, where he said if you scratch a social democrat, you'll easily find a fascist, essentially. And so he did not support the Republican government, such as the Weimar Republic was. And this is the lesson people learn from that is you have to make nice with even liberals to form a united front against fascism. And this is absolutely false. While that may be the case in certain instances, it's certainly not the case now. And I'm going to talk, first I'm going to talk a little bit about Colombia, and then I'd like to talk about specific Joe Biden things and why he doesn't represent a positive gain for the people. And I know that that's hard to say because plenty of people, whether you're black, brown, woman, gay, even straight white dudes who are working class, Trump does not represent anything good for you. And so it's easy to think, well, then Biden, although as bad as Biden is, Biden represents something positive. I'm going to argue that's not the case. And I'm going to use first the example of Colombia, and then I'm going to get into concretely why. So not many people know much about Colombia, but I'd highly recommend researching it. In Colombia, there are two main parties. There are the Conservative Party and the Liberal Party. And they actually made an agreement previously. There is not, at this time, I believe, a clear agreement. But, this lasted for decades. What they would say is, well, you have a turn, and then we'll have a turn, and then we'll just keep alternating, and then we'll maintain the coherency of a government. We'll use it to terrorize peasants, not even just revolutionaries. We'll terrorize peasants, trade unionists, anyone trying to break our power. We'll kill them, if not imprison them. And this it didn't lead to, but was why the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia had a great deal of support, and there wasn't really very much support for the government, and I don't believe there still is. But this is a different fascism. I know it's very easy to simply say fascism is the most terroristic rule, or the rule of the most terroristic version of the bourgeoisie. I'm sorry, I'm butchering it, but basically the idea is it's the most terroristic rule. The problem is it's not at all clear that in the United States, given its historical oddities, that that's the Republicans. That's not to say that, oh, we should all secretly vote Republican because they're really good. No, it may in fact be that there is an unspoken, and I do think it's unspoken. I think the Democrats and the Republicans really hate each other. Um, Agreement that they will maintain the empire that is the United States. They will suppress internal colonies. They will destroy oppressed nationalities, people of color, that they will terroristically invade, bomb, assassinate all across the world. And there's an unspoken, usually unspoken, but it is occasionally openly spoken, belief that the United States is the world leader of global imperialism and they should be in charge and whatever. So with that context in mind, let me just explain how Joe Biden doesn't really represent a win for working people, or for anyone I would consider the people, but perhaps the rich elite, if you really want to go with them as counting as the people. So first off, this was just immediately, people make a big deal of him revoking the permit for the Keystone Pipeline. But as bad as Trump was on the Keystone Pipeline, as awful as the Keystone Pipeline is and will be again, regardless of what its name is, Barack Obama played a huge role in that. And here's a direct quote from Obama. "Today, I am directing my administration to cut through the red tape, break through the bureaucratic hurdles, and make this project a priority, to go ahead and get it done," unquote. So there you have Barack Obama, which Joe Biden is a right-wing figure in the Obama administration, a right-wing figure. And so him canceling the pipeline is not because of any moral qualms. There was no objection, no infighting among the Obama administration, at least among the vice president and Obama. Some people in his administration raised concerns internally that later leaked out, but internally, Biden was all for it. And in fact, what stopped, halted, delayed the pipeline was the brave land defenders, primarily American Indian nations, who fought and put their bodies on the line that made it happen, not Joe Biden. The fact that Joe Biden is canceling the Keystone Pipeline, we should not take as him seeing the light or anything. We should rather view it as merely a combination of market forces and optics of him playing to the progressive left liberal view. It is not the case. Land defenders, some of whom I personally know, who traveled there in the freezing cold and faced down soldiers put there by Obama. And you may say, well, they weren't soldiers; they were just federal marshals or the FBI. Same thing. Internally, secret police. It's fine. Well, it's not fine, but it is what it is. So I don't think we should view that in any positive view, because Joe Biden had a chance to say something about it, and had a chance to publicly say something about it, and he didn't. And in fact, he is to the right of Obama, and so arguably he was all for it. Although I'm not going to say he was all for it, because I'm certainly the last person the White House asks or consults in decisions like these. So this was the big thing that Biden did in his first week or whatever. we'll see if it actually matters or if it's just a ploy or a rearrangement or whatever. We shall see. Um, However, there is something that Biden didn't do. Many people who are glad Trump is gone, and I'm glad Trump, I think I'm glad Trump is gone, um, is that Trump's a racist. He hates black people, which is true. Trump is an awful racist, and he absolutely hates black people. And he during his first election encouraged violence against protesters and against specifically black people. However, is Joe Biden rescuing us from that? No. Joe Biden wrote the 1994 Violent Crime Control and Enforcement Act, which passed sweeping changes to America's crime laws, which led to mass incarceration and the continued incarceration for primarily black and brown communities. Trump has said and acted racist. However, he does not have the political skill or intelligence to systemically alter it to further criminalize black and brown people. Biden did. And Biden, at the time, and there's numerous sources, I think even Democracy Now! Covers it. Biden is extraordinarily happy, pleased with this bill. He says, and many people do, that he wrote it himself, and whether or not he personally wrote it or whether he got his staffers to do it, he wrote it, he pushed it through, it's him. So why we should be thankful that a racist is out of the White House, I have no idea why anyone would say that. I don't know. Misplaced optimism. Biden writes the crime bill that gets cops to beat and kill people, whereas Trump gets goons to beat and kill people. In fact, Biden's racist crime bill is more insidious and more dangerous to what, to black and brown people. And I say that as a brown person. But it's not just domestically. I mean, I've covered two really big, really super big issues. Oh, we need Biden to protect our environment. He didn't. And he actively opposed it and beat people who opposed it. Or, oh, at least that racist's gone. Biden is just as racist, but unfortunately is more intelligent and gets that racism made institutionalized. And we are still suffering under the U.S. government because of Biden's crime bill. Look at the most people incarcerated, not per capita, most people, not by percentage. It's not China, which by all rights, China, India should have more people incarcerated. The United States is the single biggest incarcerator in the world. And you can draw a direct link to Joe Biden's crime bill. Furthermore, so that's domestically. Furthermore, internationally, Biden has been a part of the political process to support and push the nation to war in Iraq, along with making serious threats against Iran, Syria, and North Korea. He remains deeply in favor of invading Syria, and he pushed for it, along with Obama and the other Democrats who were generally in favor of it anyway. He firmly believed and supported, under the Obama administration, the U.S. War crimes and bombings in Libya. That now Libya, whatever problems you have with Gaddafi, and I myself have multiple problems with Gaddafi, now there is literal slavery in Libya. Black Libyans are routinely killed, enslaved, sold. And whose armed forces helped make that happen? The United States, which Biden was wholeheartedly behind. But more than that, I mean, just look at the Iraq War. Okay, 9/11 happened. The United States begins invading Afghanistan. Why? Because, I mean, there's clearly more reasons, but essentially because. And then George W. Bush is like, we need to invade Iraq. Multiple Democrats were like, I don't think so. Joe Biden was specific and instrumental in getting the United States to invade Iraq, getting the Democrats to support their authorization of force. And this isn't my saying, my hearsay. There's an entire section in Democracy Now, and whatever you think about Democracy Now, and I have my problems with it, it's there. It's a section where the invasion of Iraq directly comes back to Joe Biden. And so how are the people of the world better off with Joe Biden as president? I will just say Trump did none of those things. Trump assassinated an Iranian general, which was unconscionable, awful, evil, you name it. But that's not even close to the amount of carnage that Joe Biden is personally responsible for. And I just can't stress this enough. Trump is idiotic, xenophobic, racist, and he's essentially fascistic. He himself is a fascist, but fascism as a policy, as a governmental policy, takes more than one person. And he's awful. But even as awful as he has not done as many horrible things to the people of the world as Joe Biden. So just to say, and trying to keep this short, I would really like to see how Joe Biden is in any way a victory for the people of the United States or a victory for the people of the world. This ludicrous notion that that many liberals and even fairly conservative liberals have, because they're not so keen on the things Joe Biden is doing, is that we need to hold his feet to the fire. What does that even mean? What does that mean given, again, this is a controversial thesis, perhaps I'll defend it in another documentary or YouTube video, given that the United States is a fascistic government ruled by two parties rather than one party, just two wings of the same fascistic capitalist class, how are you going to hold his feet to the fire? And this is a little bit of new information. He's already backing down on the $15 minimum wage. He's explicitly said he is not going to advocate for universal health care, which Canada, UK, all of Europe, pretty much all of Europe has. So how exactly are you going to hold his feet to the fire? There's a majority of Democrats in the House and the Senate. There's a Democratic president. And yet, consistently, Democrats across the board, not all, but across the board, the vast majority, are willing to fall in line with Joe Biden, who has explicitly said he is not going to pursue any of the moderate progressive actions that people are hoping for. That being said, this is the very start of his administration, and I know there's an impulse, well, we have to give Joe Biden a chance. I don't have to give Joe Biden a chance, and I'd encourage you not to give Joe Biden a chance. What you should do, what I'm advocating for people do, and I hope you believe me, but if not, I hope you enjoyed the video, is this: Joe Biden needs to be fought every step of the way. Do not think that there's some victory or we can breathe easy because Trump's gone. Joe Biden is just as bad, but in different ways, as Trump. And I'm willing to say that. But in any case, thank you so much for watching Revolution. and take care.